Okay. All righty. Welcome, everyone. Um, my name is Kelsey Richards, if you don't know that already, and I'm so excited you guys are here. Before we get started, we're going to do a fun little icebreaker. So in the chat here, I would like to know what's one word that you think of when you hear AI, and how does it make you feel today? Like that type of word. It could be multiple words, actually. I don't think I could come up with just one.
Agreed.
All right, so Brenda, looks like you're saying the AI is smart and troublesome. I hear there. Ryan, what do you think?
Make it faster. I'm using AI so much and it does a lot of work and it does it faster than a person does, and I'm still impatient.
Same. We were just playing around with some decks that AI created, and Brenda and I were like, they should just do this automatically, and we shouldn't have to come back through and do all this other work, but
Right?
it's fun.
Make me wait 15 seconds. That's ridiculous.
I know, right? Awesome. All right, I see excited for what it can do.
Corey, I'm curious, is there any particular area you would like to see it more?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's just so much. We're just started getting into it, especially with our development teams and stuff like that, coding wise and stuff. But um, I'm I'm more looking at it for what can I use it for in that suite, and you know, pulling data out and doing whatever we need to do with data and stuff like that. So, and there's just going to help my job a lot.
Gotcha. Yes. Yes, that makes sense.
Well, Well, I love that we're all kind of similar in the sense of, we have AI and we're either really excited or incredibly overwhelmed with it, and maybe it's both at the same time. It's so really fun to see that. And actually, that is exactly why we're here, right? So we are going to get started and say this might be a little bit different of a webinar. A lot of webinars are like you should go through the whole slides and everything. Today, we're going to try a more informal conversation and see how that goes. So we'll get started. And I just realized I'm not sharing funny enough, the slide that we were going to start with. But there's just a couple of slides and then we'll get into the discussion. So let me share my screen here. I thought I was presenting actually. Let's make that full screen. All right. Now we can play with the share. Gotta love technology, right? Okay. All right. So Brenda, Ryan, I will let you guys take it away. Brenda, do you want to start?
Sure. Well, our topic is cut through the AI noise. How do you get through all of that? We're going to talk about that in more depth shortly here. Just a little bit about us. We are deep in NetSuite. We focus on equipment management, all the things you need to do if you need to rent, repair, track your profitability on a repair or an installation, manage your installation, your contracts warranty, all of that. We do all things that you need to do with a piece of equipment. And in here you can see the unit is the heartbeat of everything, the life cycle, the maintenance, and we can do all those functions all around it. Okay. So I want to introduce Ryan Seifert. I've known him for many years. We actually span decades, but we'll leave it at that. So it's been great to have this long-term relationship with Ryan, and he has started his firm, Tarek Technology, many years ago, and they really specialize in AI. But from there, I'm going to hand it over to Ryan and have him introduce himself and Tarek.
Thank you. I'm Ryan Seifert. I help run Tarek Technologies, and we help companies understand technology, data, and AI. So the big question we help answer is if you want to use AI and you're not real sure where or how to start or what that's going to look like, we can help you navigate those waters, get directionally correct, and start to identify what AI is going to help your company the most. And then we help you get that in place. And that can span from off-the-shelf software to custom builds and agents. And in addition to that, we focus quite a bit on the data side. And so that is really helping make sure that data is connected properly, clean, and so that when you feed it into the AI, you're going to get predictable results versus hallucinations and issues that you have to go clean up. Excited to dive into the conversation. You are on mute, Brenda.
Well, we're excited to have you here, Ryan, and we're excited to get started. So let's do that. Okay. So, Ryan, the first thing is we talk to a lot of companies saying, we know AI is out there, we know we need to do it, and let's figure out what we need to do. Conversely, we hear about companies that say, oh, we're doing AI. We've got 20 simultaneous projects. Did you look at anything beforehand? Absolutely not. AI is good, it's smart, it knows exactly what to do. There's no problems. So we've seen both extremes, and I would love to hear some feedback from you on both of those.
I love it. So for the companies who haven't really started with AI and they're trying to figure out what they're doing with it, I have news for them. Your team's using AI. You just don't know it yet. And so that is a reoccurring theme. As we start to step in, look at companies and figure out what's going on under the hood, they may not have an AI policy. They may not have tools already in there, but shadow AI is one of the newer terms around it, is very much at work because your team members might be using it in their personal life and they're going to bring that same skill set to work. And so understanding where that's starting can really help. The other spot on, hey, everyone's using it, they're doing a lot of things, we see that pretty often. And that normally comes from the leadership saying we want to embrace AI. And so the intent is really positive. But the execution on turn everyone loose because hey, they all kind of know to use it and they did some cool stuff with it, kind of gets you some early steps, but then it gets you an AI sprawl that you have to go clean up. Because there's many different tools in your framework, many different data sets, they're not aligned, and you're going to run into a lot of compatibility, security, and repeatability issues as you start to try and wrangle those back in. So
yeah, I think we've talked about that as the cool tool problem. Like, oh, it's so many cool tools. And then wait, those tools don't work together. They're not looking at the same thing.
Absolutely. And again, cool tools, they're fun. And you're going to see the people who are technically inclined on your team who are bringing those tools to bear early on. But you don't always want all the new cool tools because they're changing weekly right now. There's always a new AI startup, an AI tool to plug into place. And the question companies have to start to ask themselves, which ones do we want to standardize? How do we make sure this tool is going to be there in 2, 3, 5 years? And is it going to help us as we continue to grow? Major questions that the flashiness and a quick little drop in isn't necessarily going to answer.
Yeah, there's so much there. And I bet that can create really quite the AI mess if everybody's using a different tool in a different way and the data and all of that. I bet that's really quite messy. So I'm curious, if we have a company and people are using AI or they want to use AI, how do they start? Is there an end goal they want to create? I mean, what does that look like?
So what we see most companies do is go tell their team, use AI and come back with ideas. Great way to start. You get some ideas, but what happens, you create that sprawl that we just touched on. The most effective pattern I've seen and the one that we recommend and follow is to look at AI from a business perspective and a business need first. So we're not taking a cool tool trying to figure out where to plug it in. We're saying here is a business area that might have a scaling or a bottleneck or something around it that it can potentially help. We want to define what that help looks like, how to measure that help, and then the right way to implement AI to achieve that. And if you take that approach, you're not doing 20 things at once. You're focusing on one area with one measurable and making sure it's done well. And then you get to the change management, you get the adoption that you're looking for, and then you can move to the next initiative.
That makes sense. Now, one of the things that I feel like we should hear, but don't always hear about, is there a return on investment? Are people looking at that? Shouldn't they be looking at that?
And they're looking at it and they're reading the news. And the news has all the pieces on AI. The ROI on AI is trash. 90% of AI projects don't get the return they're expecting. And I'll be the first to call it out. From our side, we've never done an employee handbook chatbot because how often does any of your team have an employee handbook question? It's very rare. Yeah, exactly.
20
And
years of
so,
business, I've never 20 years, 20 plus years, I've never had anybody ask an employee handbook question ever.
Can AI handle those questions? Yeah, really well. Should you spend thousands of dollars or more to implement an AI solution to fill questions that no one's asking? No, don't do it like that. And that's the real goal, is to identify not where you can plug in the technology, but what's the business problem you want to solve with it. And that's going to drive the ROI. So when you see the news around it, the first question I end up asking myself, did they have the right business initiative identified? Who was leading that? And then ultimately, did they hit the results there, or was it a technical problem along the way? Strangely enough, and this is counterintuitive to what most people think, the strongest AI leaders that we've worked with are not coming in from a technical background. They're coming in from a business background and then working with the technology team to achieve it. And the business leader there is saying, here's the problem I need to solve. And then they're working with the technical team to identify how to solve that. A very different format. But that ensures that the AI that you're putting in place is going to hit the right business needs and not be something cool that we built.
Okay. So how does that structure look? So if let's say I'm a CFO and I want to understand more of my financial information and, I feel like AI can get me there and how does that, is there a structure? How do I get my teams to work together? What does that look like?
So let's run one together. I like where you're going with it. And so what you hit is your financial leader, and you want to use AI to do your financial reports better. What's the pain point you're trying to solve? Is it the turnaround time on the reports? Is it the clarity around it? Is it being able to slice and dice that information differently?
Probably the basics first. Like it takes too long. We close the month and it takes us 2 weeks. Well, we're halfway into the month and then we're going to have to do that cycle all over again. That's one. Two, do I want to slice and dice? Absolutely. Is my data going to let me slice and dice? No, it's not defined consistently.
So let's hit both. And the first question I'd ask in this situation, you're taking 2 weeks to close the books. Where's the time going? Is your team distracted in other areas? Is it just a lot of manual entry as they start to walk through different places? They have to reconcile all the different information. Where are they being consumed?
We've got operational spreadsheets, we've got financial spreadsheets, we've got extra spreadsheets to track God knows what, and they all come flooding in, and the accounting team takes all the spreadsheets and makes sure the data is right and aligned, and then they put it all together and eventually come up with what we hope is an accurate level of our financials. Not how it should be. We have all the systems, we have the ERP, we have all the things, but that is what happens.
And you hit the underlying piece. So when we look at the technology, AI is sometimes a solution, but sometimes it's much more blocking and tackling. What I'm hearing you say, Brenda, is, hey, we have spreadsheets across the board. We're pulling together, we're moving the data around. We have to clean it up. It takes forever. Then maybe we get reports. Can AI help? Sure. Can it make that process faster? Yes. Is it the right tool to solve that data problem? Not necessarily. So all those different spreadsheets and where that data is coming from, could there be an underlying system to pull that data together and get you a better report even outside of AI? Absolutely. And is that going to save that 2 weeks pretty quickly? Probably. And I think that's the first place I would be looking. Okay, your data foundation isn't what you're actually using. Let's fix that. And then we can plug in AI on top of that.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense to me. And that really leads right into the next conversation. And by the way, our company isn't really the company we're talking about. I'm talking about what I hear from all our customers. They all have very similar stories, especially when they first start out with us. So, one of the things that I don't think we hear enough is that the data quality. What data quality do you need to trust the data that AI is going to give you?
And I think the answer to that is you can never have clean enough data. I think we've all used AI at this point. So if you're in GPT or Claude or Gemini, you have that regenerate button at the bottom of each answer. It's really cool. You hit it and it gives you a different answer. But that's how AI works. It'll generate a new response that may or may not be correct. And so all that information that you're feeding it is going to generate differences. So if you want AI to do any work, that data coming in needs to be consistent and clean. And that'll help drive that predictability. To your point, Brenda, most companies, the data is everywhere, not really mapped well, and AI, just like an employee, is trying to make sense of that. And because of how AI works, how it reads the data one day may not be the same down the road. So because it's trying to juggle all those different fields, you're introducing exceptions and hallucinations and issues that you can sidestep around with a better data structure.
And there's nothing worse than an AI hallucination. It's one of the worst things ever. Okay. So the other thing I see a lot of is tools. Like we were talking about that earlier. Cool tools, there's so many, and you can use so many, and who should use what when? How is that decided upon? What about those tools?
I have such a hard time on this one because I am one of the people who love to play with the new tools. So I see something shiny and I want to pull it in and check it out. And what does it do? And how do we use it? And then I want to bring it to the team because I'm excited. I want to share. And I am just throwing up so much dust to the people actually trying to get work done that it's a problem. So as you start to take that AI journey for your company, one of the first steps we take is a governance board. And for me, governance board feels really heavy, and that's for enterprises. But ultimately, all it really is, hey, Bob found a cool tool. We need to see if it's something we can use before he spends a whole lot of time moving data into it, potential security issues, potential subscription fees, etc. We just want to make sure it's something that works. So really what the governance boards turn out to be is a small team who can take those new ideas from the team members and see what's going to work well, standardize on it, provide feedback to the team members if we're not going to go forward, and then start the change management to the team. What that does, that really reduces your shiny object syndrome, where I have this over there and I want to run towards it. And now I'm checking this one out and it does the same thing, but this one's better because I got it last week and the other one was last month. It starts to reduce that noise, which gives your team confidence that the company is taking a predictable, slow, and deliberate path through AI.
So with all of this, I know that Tarek has a process called AI Compass that helps companies really align and organize this to where one, they know what the objectives and goals are, they know what the ROI is, and then they also will develop how to even know they're getting accurate answers, which we probably don't have enough time to deal with today, but that is a real thing. So can you say more about that?
Absolutely. So the first spot we start with the majority of our clients is looking at their company, the business processes, and starting to see where AI can actually help. And so most people think AI is a magic wand. You can drop it in, it does a lot of pieces, but it's ultimately a tool. And tools are good at some things and really bad at others. My favorite example of this is math. I was hanging pictures and I was using ChatGPT to help me figure out placement and walls. And I called out some dimensions and was like, do some basic summation. Give me a halfway point. It missed 3 times before I got a ruler.
Wow.
So really bad at math. But that was my fault. I know AI is bad at math. I was still having to do basic summations. Shouldn't have been. There's other tools in technology that can do that much better. And that's the same piece if you look at your business processes. There's going to be areas AI can potentially help, but probably shouldn't because it's going to be a lot more work than needed. And there's areas that AI is going to make a world of difference. But it really does take understanding the tool to a pretty detailed level to know those. And that's where we help. So we'll come in and in 2 weeks, the turnaround's fast. We'll look at your business processes, where we'll meet with your leadership team and say, here's where we think your biggest AI wins are. Here's why. And then we start to walk through the ROI with you on it.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Okay. So one last question, in the 2 weeks, do you address any change management inside of that?
In those 2 weeks, not as much. The compass is really around getting directionally correct. We're not building AI, we're not introducing changes to the team, but we are looking to see where AI can help the company the most. The change management will normally come in one of the next steps on that AI journey. One of the big areas we see with teams, the change management. We can build technology really fast these days. I think everyone has seen vibe coding come in, they've seen pieces show up, and your ability for your team to adopt those changes can start to become a significant bottleneck. Because when you're changing things weekly or daily, some companies have deployments within minutes of each other. That is so much change, it's really hard for the team to stay in step. So one of the muscles of your organization you want to start to exercise is that predictable change, how the change management works, who to talk to about what, who's leading which areas. so that your team knows and can understand and has the stability to actually use and leverage those changes. Really hard for team members to trust AI when everything shifts every day and they're not real sure which way to look.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you. So before this session, we did get some questions for folks who wanted to attend but couldn't. Also, we have a guest here who may have some questions as well. So I'm going to ask for questions now and see what we have.
I don't have anything actually at this time. I'm just kind of taking it all in, and so.
No problem. We do have a few others. So, Kelsey, do you have the ones that we got asked prior to the call?
Yes, to do. All right, so who do I need to include in the 2 weeks of the AI Compass?
So for the AI Compass, we approach that a couple different ways. If it's a remote company, you'll see us schedule out different meetings with different department business leaders. And ultimately, what we're looking for there is someone who understands the process, the business needs and objectives, and the pain points, because that's where we normally find the biggest areas for AI to support. And that can look at a couple of different meetings, but we've even done this in an afternoon to lunch for companies. We'll come in, we'll take over the conference room, and we'll cycle through different department leaders to walk through their processes and identify potential opportunities that AI can help. So it's those people. They understand the process, they understand the obstacles the team is doing. Sometimes that is the C-suite leader. Sometimes that's a team lead or a director on the team who really gets into the nuts and bolts around it. We will be asking questions. What systems are you touching? Where's the duplicate entry? Where you spend most of the time waiting? All those become critical components in identifying those opportunities. So it's a little bit of both.
Great. And then I think there was some kind of similar ones here, but I'll just ask them all and you can answer as you can. So they started to have initiatives in place. Do they need to start again? And they've been working with Claude. How do they get it into production? And then well, they started to use coding AI, but just kind of repeatedly ask, do I need to redo what I've done type of stuff?
So I'm going to break those into a couple different areas. I'm going to hit the technical one first, because I like it. We see a lot of companies who have started to use vibe coding, and they have some potential tools. And they're saying, okay, great. How do I get this into the hands of my team? And they're excited because the tool kind of works, but it kind of has some misses. But overall, that you kind of see where it's going. And it's dangerous to take vibe coding directly into production. We actually saw this with McKinsey, vibe coding many different API endpoints. And we found out that, hey, guess what? There was no authentication on them. So not one endpoint, 22 endpoints that they released without authentication. It's really, really easy as you start to automate those pieces for AI to miss steps. Can we reuse that vibe coding pieces? Absolutely. But what you want to do is take that and then run that through a more deliberate deployment process that will be checking for all the bells and whistles, dotting the I's and crossing the T's, so you don't end up with something in production that you wouldn't otherwise want. The other call out is AI ends up being higher maintenance than more traditional software development. And so there is a piece where the areas that you're going to be running often, you may want to start to look at and move into more standard coding practices to get more efficient and reduce that maintenance cost. So that's how we normally approach the vibe coded tools. For the other initiatives, and what they're doing out there, and they may have agents they built on N8N or Gemini or anything else, there's normally ways to help migrate those from the tech stack they're in into whatever tech stack the company aligns on. So if I have agents that are crossing Claude, and then the company comes in and says, nope, we're using Copilot, we can help take those prompts in those agents and shift them into Copilot. So it is not a complete incompatibility. There will need to be a lot of testing, there'll need to be validation, but you're far from starting from square one.
Okay, awesome. And then looking at the time, okay, one last question. How do you handle AI maintenance?
Yeah, maintenance is an ongoing issue. I think most companies, and you'll hear this inside some of the ROI stories, I had built this agent and it's working great for a month or 2 months, and then it's not working. I'm getting bad answers. It's confused again. The maintenance on AI is significant. if the model changes underneath. If I'm on Claude 4.6, I'm going to 4.8, my results are different. And so changing that model can introduce unexpected results coming from those agents. So the maintenance around AI ends up being pretty significant. There's many different ways to handle it. One of the big questions we get is, do I have a team member do that full-time on my staff? Do I outsource that to a different company? And a lot of that becomes, it depends. If you have a huge number of agents and there's a lot of maintenance, it could be you need a full-time person. It could also be that they were not done properly, and you're really wading through a lot more churn than you need to be. So that very much depends upon where they are in their AI journey, the stability on their foundation, and what that looks like as to how I would recommend handling the maintenance.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Well, Ryan, thank you for all of that. That was a really good review. So if anybody's interested in pursuing this, you can book a discovery call or you can get started right away. I mean, when this is complete, it is a 2-week engagement, $9,500. You get your opportunity map, your ROI, feasibility lens, you get your data systems and governance gaps, and then your next step brief about what would be the prioritization of all these things there. So it's a really valuable tool. It's very fast. It's fairly inexpensive. So if you guys are interested in that, we'll send you this deck. It'll be on our website as well, and we're looking forward to getting started with you. So Ryan, again, thank you so much. This was really good. I do want to say Ryan and I will be talking again on July 8th because we really want to get down into real AI solutions. And for this one, we're going the full hour. You know, what company used it? What did they do? Why did they want it? What was the benefit? What were the gotchas that you didn't expect? What are all the things that were learned? We really want to get down into real AI. How is it really used? What did it really deliver? What was worth doing? What wasn't worth doing? So I'm so excited to have that conversation. July 8th, 2026, 2:30 Central Time. Look forward to seeing you here.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.